All right, welcome to Bid Nerds, everyone. A brand new episode here of The Nerd, your daily nerd out on the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. My name is John Polnick. I'm your host, along with my partner, Michael Deeb, coming to you from San Francisco, and I'm in Las Vegas. What's up, Michael Deeb?
What's up, JP? Oh my God, we are one of those days where it feels like we're limping across the starting blocks just to get this show in the can and get it out on a YouTube.
People have no idea what happens behind the scenes. We're sitting here complaining about something. They have no idea what we're talking about because they weren't here for the last 2 hours trying to deal with problems that we were.
Yeah, you and I would never have to go get a manicure because we just sit here and chew our nails, just hoping this thing will work every time we go live. You know, every time we do.
We do a half-hour show every day, and people don't realize that it takes probably 2 hours to get everything to work. Welcome to another episode. Don't worry, guys. We're not going to bitch about our technical problems here. This is the show where we dig through all those auction sites like you do. You know, BAT, Cars and Bids, P-Car Market, and more. We find the most interesting car of the day. And just like you and your buddies, we have a conversation about that car, but we take it one step further. We make predictions. What will happen with that particular car auction? Then stick around to the end of the show because we will reconcile our idiotic predictions with what actually happens, and you will see just how bad at this that we are. You can play along. It's like The Price is Right. You can put your bid in the comments below, and you can prove that you're better at this than we are, and we encourage you to do so. Make us look bad, like our good friends Ross Churchhouse and 5150 and everybody else that's on there. What's up, Michael Lee?
Yeah, the real nerds put the minute mark. So they know, they didn't know the result before they put their thing on. So big love to the herd. Big love to our sponsor, Godden Porsche. JP, if I may, Godden Porsche, the very first classic partner in the United States. They are one of only 12 out of like 200 Porsche stores in the country. There's only a dozen that do it. Porsche of Las Vegas, Godden Porsche was the very first. They've got the parts, they've got the service, and they've got the cars for sale. And they might be even been interested in purchasing your classic car. Give them a call and tell them the Bid Nerd sent you. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas, our sponsor. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. All right, guys. Let's get to the most interesting car of the day. What is the most interesting car of the day today, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, this requires just a teeny backstory. So I reached out to the boys at DWA because, you know, me, you, and the professor and Yuri are planning to host a bunch of people in the Bay Area over Luftgekühlt weekend. And so I reached out to each of the guys from DWA, Lane, who's going to join us, and then Warren and Art, who are still obligated through Radwood to go to Austin, Texas for Radwood over the same weekend as Luftgekühlt 9. So we're going to miss them. But it didn't stop Art and I from having a wonderful conversation about his collection of BMWs. And he could not stop bragging about his BMW Touring that has a ZHP package. Am I saying that correctly? I don't know BMWs that well. ZHP. So he's got one with a very similar package to this car. And so right after my conversation, I was picking cars for this week and I saw this car and it reminded me of Art's wagon because this 2003 BMW 330i with the aforementioned ZHP package is on a sedan. And like Art's car, it has a manual transmission and a slick roof, which I don't think I was even aware that slick roof BMWs from that era were even a thing. I thought they all came with sunroofs. So when Art told me he had a slick roof, I thought, oh, that's really cool. He probably brought it down from Canada. But then here's this car, John, that's in Las Vegas and showing just 100,000 miles on Doug DeMuro's Cars and Bids site. It's Alpine White, which is a classic color for BMW. It's an all black interior. Check out those really heavily bolstered, sports seats, manual transmission, Alcantara steering wheel that looks to be like 2 times the thickness, and carbon fiber on the dash. This, I think, is one of the last editions of the inline-six before they went to turbocharging. But I understand that the ZHP specific cars have more powerful engines and different camshafts. That they're actually a different motor that's in there. So this is the M54 3-liter inline-six twin cam motor that has 235 horsepower and 222 pound-foot of torque, and then 6-speed transmission and all to the rear wheels. I mean, look, The way Doug DeMuro frames it, I actually like. He says, "Look, in this era, BMW didn't make a four-door M3, so this was the next best thing." And I loved BMWs from this era. They're just great driving cars. They're a little basic, bitch. They're a little standard, but this thing looks great with the body kit, the 18-inch wheels, and the car looks pretty in the photos with the white desert floor and the blue sky above it. I gotta tell you, JP, as just a daily driver, I'm pretty smitten. This looks like it would be a really cool car. And considering it's 20 years old, it's got 100,000 miles on it, it's probably going to be available and be picked up for a song. So now, John, I know you've had a couple of E30s, but my question to you is, have you ever driven something from this generation of the BMW, the E46 generation? Um, is this something you've ever had? Is it something you'd ever drive? What do you think of this car? Do you like it like I do? I don't love this car, but like, I mean, if you're thinking under 20 grand or around 20 grand for just a daily driver, it's probably a pretty decent place to park your money. It's a good car, and it's probably rare by the package and then the package with the slick roof. So any love for this gen non M3 manual ZHP sedan? What do you think? I know Art would lose his ish on this car. He would absolutely lose it, and probably Warren would too. But like, would you give it up there, this car, or would you just be like, I'd rather have an old Porsche and just wing it? Like a 924 would be a better place to put your money than this car.
These things are freaking spectacular. And I will
Okay,
say,
good.
Brian, who used to be part of the DWA clan, I'm really not sure whatever happened with him.
I
Super
don't know,
great
Brian.
guy. He
Yeah.
was part of the earlier Rev when I was doing my TV show, Cars Unknown. And we went to Santa Cruz to shoot with Lane. I did an interview with Lane at what's the Canapa? Is that the big
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
place
in
there?
Scotts Valley. Yeah,
Yeah,
real
yeah.
close to them. Yeah.
So those guys on a Monday afternoon, man, the DWA guys rallied like 15, 20 cars to go mob through the back roads, and it was a
Yeah.
spectacular day. And I sat in the right seat in Brian's ZHP, and I had been in ZHPs before. I used to kind of be a BMW guy for a little bit back in the day. And, so I knew people really liked him, but gosh dang, sitting in the second seat with him ripping through those roads, I was sold. This car, I almost like this car better than an E46 M3. I mean, there's just something a
Yeah.
little bit more pure about it. Yeah, it was just, I couldn't believe what it was capable of doing. And his car had like 200,000 miles on it. That's the other thing is the E46s have a couple of little Achilles heels, but they're not terrible like the newer BMWs that just completely come apart. Yes, they have
Yeah.
the Vanos issues. Yes, they've got plastic, timing belt chain guides or whatever.
Right.
But that stuff can be fixed and dealt with. And overall, these are pretty darn reliable and just unbelievably good performers. I would way rather rock this than that 350Z track car we were talking about.
Yeah, I got you.
A couple
Yep,
of days
yep, yep.
ago.
Yeah, could be similar money, huh? Right?
Yeah,
Like
and it is right about the same money. The only difference is that 350 is probably going to be way, far fewer miles than this car. But I think you're okay
Right.
getting into the BMW because I think it's going to hold its value, and not terribly expensive to maintain, even though it
Yeah.
sometimes can be.
Okay, well, I'm happy to hear you like this car because I do, and I honestly, I really don't know these cars that well, but like Alpine white over black is so classic. The 18-inch wheels in this car are pretty. The body kit is subtle, but definitely differentiates it from standard sedans. I love that it's a slick roof. Art obviously would agree with that since his car is the same way. But that Alcantara steering wheel and those seats, I mean, man, I would love to spend a lot of time in this car. This would be a great car that if I was coming to visit you in Vegas, I would love to drive this car out. So, anyways, here we go, John. This is a no reserve auction, and it closes just a few days from when we're looking at it. Probably 2-3 days from now. Our car is sitting at. Are you sitting down, JP? $16,250 on 17 bids on a car that has 100,500 miles on it. So that right away tells you that these cars are special because theoretically this car should be listed at half that, right? This should be like an $8,000 car if it wasn't all the ZHP and the Alpine White and all this other stuff. So, John, I don't know these cars very well. So as I give you my bid, I give it to you with the caveat that I am just spitballing here. If this car goes for over $25,000, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it has a chance to break 20 grand. My initial knee-jerk reaction is just say 20, but it sounded too conservative to just land on a round number. So I like this car. I would pay a little more than that. So I'm going to go $22,000. But if the herd knows BMWs, if we have some real BMW heads out there and they think I'm crazy, by all means, tell me. I just don't know the cars well enough. I'm just kind of a closeted BMW fanboy. I've owned a 545 and two different M5s. So I love BMWs, but I just don't know them like the real BMW gearheads. So JP, where do you think? You think I'm crazy? 22,000 on cars and bids? I kind of feel like this is the right platform for this car as well. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, it's absolutely the right platform because it's a great car, and the people that want these are a little bit nerdier, so they're more likely to be hanging out on cars and bids. And this
And
car isn't going
and
to get lost against all the amazing cars that are on BAT sometimes, which can
yeah,
be a problem. So yeah, I look this car. Someone's going to buy it. If people aren't too scared of what's going on in the economy this week, I'm really kind of interested in watching, paying very close attention to closing prices this week because at the time of recording, there's a lot going on. We have not heard the Federal Reserve's announcement yet, and I anticipate that sparking some kind of reaction, good, bad, or otherwise. There's really not
yeah,
a lot of good
pins and
here.
needles.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a tough call. I would not want to have a car closing this week. That'd be like having your car closed during Super Bowl or something like that. No
Right.
one's going to be paying attention, and everyone I think is going to be kind of sitting on their wallet, unfortunately. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm going to be bearish. I'm going to say 20 grand. I'm going to say 20,325.
Oh, 330. You mean?
Oh, sorry, 330. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Let my bid be reserved or
Twenty thousand
be
three
edited.
thirty. Very good. Well done. All right. Well, that's
And if
good.
you
What do
wind up buying this car at a discount and the world ends, you'll have a great car to drive around all the empty roads, as everyone starves to death and you can go and
that was dark, John.
dark
That was
stuff,
dark.
dark stuff. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, what do you think will be the result of this ZHP 330? Is this a potential for an excellent buy? Is this week the time to grab something while everyone's kind of freaking out? Do you think there's going to be some opportunities there, or do you think
Yeah.
I'm just too much of a nerd and I pay too close attention to this stuff, and the people that are in the cars don't and won't even notice what's happening with all the other asset classes, and they'll just be like, whatever, I want a ZHP. If inflation goes up, will that mean the prices of these go up, or will it mean the prices go up and nobody buys them? Because one thing I'm concerned about, Michael Deeb, is
Uh-huh.
that if we do wind up in a drastic inflationary period, that typically means that okay, there's a bunch of money in the system. The Feds want to kind of inflate another bubble to kind of kick the can down the road, but you got to wonder, are banks being as freaked out as they are, how likely will they be to lend anything to anyone? Yes, interest rates will be low for people that have the absolute perfectest of credit, but everyone else, I see a credit crunch coming. I don't see banks wanting to lend anything to anyone at all for anything. What do you think?
I think it certainly will get interesting if the banks get nervous about lending on these, fluctuating, hard to understand the value. Then the people that are doing appraisals to try and rest assured that the bank is not lending on something that's just going to completely tank, start playing a higher significance, and it'll be interesting to see. They Black Book and Blue Book and NADA and Haggerty and all these places that evaluate cars. I wonder if they start putting a greater significance on things like BAT results, where you look up a model for 911 G50 Carrera, and you start looking at all the results and judge on what you think the car is worth based on what they've been selling for in real dollars. Because a lot of times the stuff that's reported to Kelly Blue Book and NADA are the stuff that people are writing on their bill of sale and might not be what the cars actually transact for. Whereas on these auction results, you get these real results. I think that will matter more. And I don't know how you quantify that, but I could see where you're going with the banks getting nervous, and it might become slightly more difficult to get a car where the bank might require people to put 25% down or 30% down because they don't want to be left holding the bag if the bottom falls out. And that could change the market for a lot of buyers. If you have to put a significant amount of money down, it'll leave only the 1% as the players to transact these cars. And a lot of cars could come to market and fail to sell because people just can't afford them, you know?
Yeah. I mean, inflation is terrible for the economy in general, but in a weird way, if you have a bunch of debt at a low interest rate, it's and interest rates wind up going up while inflation is also happening. It's like, all right, well, I've still got the cheap money here, but yeah, and it lowers the value of your debt as inflation goes up. If $100,000 car that you bought last year, it sells for $110,000 this year, and there's been 10% inflation, then okay, you're flat, right?
You broke
But
even, yeah.
you broke even. Same goes for if you have $100,000 of debt. If you're in debt $100,000 and inflation goes up 10%, now you're really that the value of that debt is lower. So there's an odd positive way to look at that, even though I wouldn't recommend as looking at that as a positive thing. But I can guarantee you this: the federal government looks at it this way.
Yeah.
And as they're looking at writing down the value of all the debt that all the spending that they've done over the last 3 years from all the ridiculous COVID reactions and money being sent to countries for wars and things like that, from Afghanistan to Ukraine to all these other stupid things that they're spending money on, they're sitting there going, yeah, we went in a lot of debt. The only way to really lower that debt is to print a bunch of money, which I think is what they're probably going to wind up doing. So what do you guys think of that? We'd love to hear your comments and takes on the economy and how that will affect our favorite asset class, being classic and enthusiast cars. So now's the time to put your bid in. What will happen with this little BMW ZHP? We will find out in just a couple of minutes. Stick around and we will be right back. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy.
1989 linen gray metallic G50 cab.
Is that gonna be for sale?
It is gonna be for sale. The car only has 65,000 miles.
Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas.
If you love watching car videos on YouTube, you gotta check out my channel, The Rami Show. Oh, this car! I am driving a 2020 Lamborghini SVJ. This car, watch this. Oh!
Yeah, he's making the noises. Welcome to the future, everybody. We've got the producer in house. Patootie is running the show. She's got her bright green Bid Nerds bow on there. She's doing a good job saying hello to everybody. Yeah, it's the future, man. Have you guys checked out the Rami Show? That is one heck of a program. We've got all kinds of cool stuff going on there. So check out our sister channel. Hit the subscribe, like, and notification button if you haven't done so already. You have stuck around. You're here in the future, and you want to find out what happened with this BMW, this ZHP. Michael Deeb, what happened with this result?
I missed out on buying this car. I should have bought this car. Doug DeMiro offered this 2003 BMW 330i ZHP sedan with just 100,000 miles at no reserve. John, I took the high road like I normally do at $22,000. You said $20,330, and believe it or not, our car sold for just $17,750. The no reserve thing, I really just didn't pay close enough attention. I did not watch this car closed, and when I saw the result, John, I got to tell you, man, it's not that I'm in the market for a car, but for less than 20 grand, is there a better driving automobile for less than $18,000? That just seems like it was stolen. So congratulations. The buyer let it go. Congratulations to the seller let it go. The buyer, I think you ripped that car. I think you're gonna have a ton of fun and be thinking to yourself every time you get in the car, I can't believe I got this car for less than 20 grand. Like that's just I don't know. I think you ripped it. I'm really happy for him, but I'm jealous it wasn't me. So JP, what do you think, man? Less than 18 grand for that Alpine white slick roof ZHP. That's just, man, what a deal.
Really is a pretty car and a lot of car for the money. It's
Good
tough
grief.
because E46s are just in kind of that weird no man's land where, they're early kind of, late 90s, early aughts. They're just it's going to be a while till they're really worth anything, but at the same time, this particular one is such a great driving car. When you look at it, though, I mean, $20,000, you can go get a regular 330 for somewhere around 10 or maybe 15 or something like that for the nicest one there is. So to pay that much more for one of these, I think the market doesn't really support it, but it really is the one of the best bangs for the buck. This car, again,
Seriously.
I can't remember if I said it before the break or not, but we reviewed that 350Z track edition that has hit like first it was on Marked and failed to sell, and then it came back again on BAT and did sell, but not for really that much more money. And I don't think that thing was like 20 grand. So I would way rather have this BMW ZHP than anything like that, because it really does have that kind of German driving experience. And these cars do really feel really buttoned up when you drive them. So I agree.
You'd have bought that other car and you'd have $6,000 in cash if you didn't get the Z. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's because the other car Z sold for $23,750, so it's a $6,000 delta. I mean, you'd have the white car and $6 grand in the bank. So I mean, it's a hell of a deal.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that when you drive around, there are, like I said earlier, the nicest one, 330 E46 4-door is worth 15 grand maybe. But there's a ton of crappy $4,000 325s rolling around that don't look any different to the average person. So I think that's one of the things. If you want a sleeper, if you want something that performs, in an amazing way, but just doesn't attract a lot of attention, there's a certain appeal to that, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Being able to rip up the canyons and you're hanging with a bunch of 911s and supercars and stuff, and when the police go to pull everyone over, you just keep driving because they think you're just some jerk
caught up in the melee.
One of those guys. So I've got a $3,000 car. What are you talking about? What do you guys think of the results? Our nerd nation is getting better and better at putting in the comments their predictions, and it seems like they're better and better at it than we are. So it'll be fun to watch the comments on this one. Thank you guys so much for commenting on these cars. Michael D, are we getting excited about Luftkult coming up in just a few weeks?
Absolutely. We're starting to count heads and see who's going to show up. We hope everybody can make it to the Professor Run Rally, which will be on Friday, the 28th of April, the day before the first day of Luft. It will likely start somewhere in lower part of Marin, maybe Mill Valley or Sausalito or Tam Junction, something like that. And then we're going to head up the coast and we're going to pick out a nice restaurant where we can have some oysters and some beer. And then it'll be really fun. And if you're a nerd and you're watching the show and you want to come to the secret open house that we're going to have, please reach out to either JP or myself, direct message one of the two of us, and we'll get you the details. We'd love to have you out there and meet the herd. So please, by all means, if you're planning to come to town for Luft, reach out to us and let's get together.
Awesome. All right, guys, we will see you tomorrow with the most interesting car of the day on all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. That was Bid Nerds. See you mañana. Where's the closey button?